Good evening, everyone. Today is December 5th. The time is 6 p.m. and this is the Acushnet Planning Commission. This meeting is being recorded for future viewing on the town's YouTube page, and we are also live tonight via Zoom. Can I get a motion to open the planning board meeting?
Motion to open the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Can we get everybody to introduce themselves?
Sure. Victoria Alfaro, Town Planner.
Steve Boucher, member.
Mark Francois, Chairman.
Brian Deschamps, member.
Rick Ellis, Vice Chairman.
Okay. Minutes. So we had meeting minutes from November 7th emailed to us and November 21st.
Yeah.
Both of them relatively short meetings. All of us were in attendance for both meetings. Did anybody have a chance to look these over?
I don't have a problem with either of these. I mean, there was very little done at those two meetings, so
Agreed.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes for November 7th and November 21st as written.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Excuse me. Next, discussions and other topics. An informal meeting for 96R Peckham Road, map 16, lot 4A. Applicant Cameron
Of course, yeah, please.
LLC, Cameron LLC, represented by Zenith Consulting Engineering LLC. Scope of the work is the definitive subdivision.
Good evening. Jamie Bissonette, Zenith Consulting Engineers, for the record. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. I'll be brief.
Could you just elevate your voice just a little bit?
Certainly.
Thank you.
I wanted to come in front of the board tonight and talk briefly to get some feedback as to how to proceed. I believe John Romanelli came in about 6 months ago, talked about this. It's kind of been put on the shelf and it's coming back up, so we're gonna look to proceed with this. Essentially, the applicant has enough area to do 3 conventional lots with a roadway. We're looking to try to minimize the impact out here. And so when we came in the last time, we talked about Wavered Road being private and, 3 lots. The board seemed amenable. They wanted us to consider looking at other roads or right-of-ways further down to avoid adding any drainage strain, I think, on Morningside. We wanted to actually find out whether the board would be amenable to going down to 2 lots with a gravel roadway instead of 3 with a paved way.
If I remember correctly, I actually went back, it was February of '23, I think it was, the last time that John Romanelli was in front of us. And I went back and I watched that meeting actually 2 hours ago.
Okay.
I don't think the issue was a gravel road or an asphalt road.
Okay.
We were asked at that meeting if we had any issues with 3 lots, private lots on a private road. Well, first you came in wanting to do 2 different roads without having, as A&Rs. And then we had said that we weren't going to accept that you were creating frontage and that we needed a Form C. And then at the time, we had Dave DeVignan on the board, and Dave and John kind of bantered back and forth on what they thought would be a better plan. I don't think know, back then, these are some new members on the board,
Mhm.
so we'll ask them. But back then, we didn't have an issue with a gravel road for 3 private lots on a private road.
Okay,
We just suggested that you have to have some type of a homeowners association that is responsible for maintaining the road.
okay,
From what I gathered, and again, I'm just speaking for myself, the main issue was drainage, was stormwater. And again, I looked at this plan earlier today, and my biggest concern is Woodland Road is almost a 10-foot height difference from where it crests up top to where on the bottom.
that's correct.
I see you put some retention ponds here in the back, which is great, and it does pitch. The rest of the road from this side does pitch that way, which is fine, and you'll maintain that. Now, you haven't filed for stormwater.
No, we haven't filed officially for anything.
Anything, all right. And I think you're gonna have to file for stormwater.
I would imagine we will.
You file with stormwater and you can figure out where this water is gonna go.
Mhm.
Because now you got 150 feet of roadway here. That's a 10-foot height elevation from this end to this end. You're just gonna flood everybody on the other side of the road. Especially since Morningside has no type of drainage or anything. It's all on top and it's just gonna flow downhill. Whether it's asphalt or gravel, doesn't make a difference. It's still gonna just flow downhill. That was my issue a year ago when John was in.
Sure,
And that is my issue still.
okay,
That's just my 2 cents. Gentlemen?
Additionally, I mean, this proposed drainage easement and this detention/retention pond that you've got out in the back,
yes.
have you done any percolation tests there? Do you know what the seasonal high groundwater table level is? And the reason I asked that question is this is an area of town where there's a lot of very tight soils.
Yes,
And I don't expect much infiltration to happen.
I agree.
So if the storm comes and the basin's already full,
Mhm.
then it overflows into somebody else's yard.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah,
That's a big issue for me.
sure.
You know, we've had a couple of projects in town where infiltration basins have not worked very well.
Understood.
It's not that they won't work,
Mhm.
but they will not work in all soil situations.
Yep, understood.
That's an issue for me.
Mhm.
You know, that has got to work, and there's got to be no chance that there's going to be water that's overflowing a basin that's full before the storm begins into other people's property.
Yeah, we
I-
do expect that groundwater is gonna be about 2 feet.
Um,
It's gonna be very high.
Have you done any initial percolation tests back there?
No, we have not.
Okay, again, you know, we're talking about an area of town where the high point in Middle Road, you know, there's one system back there at the high point, and it's an elevated system,
Yep.
which says high groundwater table at the top of the hill.
Mhm.
Forget about at the bottom of the hill.
Sure.
And then, as Mark pointed out, you know, you've got the beginning of Woodland Road there's a relatively decent slope down towards Morningside, and there's one catch basin on that side of Morningside.
Mhm.
That's got to handle the whole thing.
Yep.
Gravel could be even more of a problem because gravel flows downhill when water runs over the soil.
Mhm.
So now there's an issue about keeping sand and sediment out of that one poor catch basin that's down there to handle whatever's coming down
Sure.
Woodland Road. And obviously with the road up there, even if it's gravel, there will be substantially more water that comes down towards Morningside and ultimately towards the drainage system in Middle Road. I mean, to me, this looks like a difficult subdivision, and a difficult section of road to put in,
Sure.
and a difficult place to put a couple of houses in an area that's known to be difficult to percolate.
Sure.
Rick, let me ask you a question. If they asphalted all the way up to where the ground starts to level off, so we don't have any sand or gravel runoff from the road, but then kept the rest gravel when it's flat, and if they were able to connect, I don't know if they can connect to the catch basins.
I mean, that would be ideal in terms of drainage. We've still got the infiltration pond to deal with, but yeah.
That's a whole different subject. That's
Okay.
that's a stormwater.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to go through stormwater. Stormwater's gonna have to determine if that's even possible with
I mean-
soil samples and percolation tests.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's a valid comment. You know, it's pave the first section, you know, get some kind of storm drainage in there, and maybe a couple of catch basins to catch any sediment that comes down that new road before it gets to Morningside and ultimately Middle Road. I don't even know how well that drainage system, that short section of drainage system on Morningside works.
Right, I don't either.
And quite honestly, I would want to solicit some information from the town highway Department of Public Works superintendent to see if they've had any problems down there in the past.
Now, did you guys look at possibly, instead of using Woodland Road, possibly using Pine or even Hemlock, where I think, you don't go all the way down with elevations, but I think it's a little bit, from just me driving down the road and looking, it's much more level down, the further down you go. You wouldn't have this massive ramp that you have on Woodland. Have you guys looked at maybe going up Pine or Hemlock?
We have, and that's on the table for
Okay.
us. Tonight, again, we didn't change the plan from when John was in here
Yeah.
to talk to you, and it's because we wanted to discuss what way the board wanted us to kind of go in. So we will look at those avenues. We'll look at the drainage situation. We did know it was a sensitive point. We can look to see if it does get to the back.
Yeah.
We are aware the soils are extremely tight. They're mapped as C/D. So we do expect 2-foot water tables and tight tills out there.
I mean, to go back, I don't know, probably 2 years now, I mean, I know the person that lives at the top of the rise on Peckham Road, and I got called at like 7 o'clock at night to help out with a flooded cellar.
Yep.
When I went down in the cellar, they had 2 sump pumps on an alternating system, piped by a plumber, and both of them did not work. And honest to God, I helped them pump out about 3 or 4 feet of water in the bottom of the cellar.
Oh, wow.
So that's to me an indication of a very, very high water table and soil that really doesn't perk very well at all. To have that much water in the basement of the house that's on the top of the hill, that doesn't speak too well for ability to drain or infiltrate anything in that section of the world.
So you came here looking for a few answers.
Yeah.
Let me ask the board, and this is an informal question. If Jamie were to figure out a way to get this road, well, let's just say, go one first example. If you were to keep it at Woodland, would we be happy going asphalt to gravel on a private road?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, but you've still got to answer the question about additional runoff from the
Absolutely,
top of the hill
absolutely.
on adjacent properties.
I'm just trying to give him answers on whether or not you can get 3 lots on a partially asphalted, partially gravel road. If you were to be able to come down this way, and you didn't have a 10-foot height elevation, and this is a lot flatter, you might get away with all gravel going out, because it's not, we have approved gravel roads for three house subdivisions in the past. It's all about the drainage. So if you didn't go down Woodland and you ended up possibly doing this, you might save on asphalt if it wasn't such a steep pitch. And if you still get all the setbacks, you can probably still get your 3. As far as drainage, regardless of what road you use, in the back, you're gonna have to go through the stormwater, you're gonna have to do the perk test, you're gonna have to do soil samples, you're gonna have to go through that whole rigmarole to get those answers,
Understood.
those questions answered.
No, I get it. All right.
And I guess that's the comment. We want that looked at very, very closely, because we don't want to create new roadways and new lots that are going to put an additional burden on the adjacent properties.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, we typically look to lay it out first before we go out and perk, so we know where we're trying to set the houses and put the septic systems. And so this is kind of the first step on us getting there.
That system that I helped the guy pump his basement out of,
Mhm.
that it's a mound system on the top of the hill.
Sure. No, I get it.
It's there.
All right.
It's always been an issue down there.
What's that?
It's just septic systems in that area have been issues, so, over the years, I mean, just trying to put a septic system in, period.
Oh, yeah,
And back up there,
absolutely.
and that's been problematic for them.
Absolutely.
Because as we had talked about sewage coming down that way to pick up part of Morningside Avenue at one point in time, which we weren't in a predicament to do because we couldn't tie into the school system.
Right, but I mean, I've seen all kinds of soils perked during the dry season, and there's a lot of things that can happen, so, I mean, that's where engineers will come in for designing septics, whether it perks, whether it doesn't perk, that's where the engineers come in for drainage and all that. That, like Rick said, needs to be, looked at very carefully.
Not a problem.
I think that's one of your biggest hurdles here, to be quite
It's
honest
gonna
with
be
you.
the perk.
The handling of the drainage from, the storm drainage
Yeah,
from the
I don't
property.
think it's the, if you can get it to perk, get it to perk, that's Board of Health.
Yep.
You get it to perk, get it to perk. It's, where's all that water gonna go?
Sure.
That's the biggest key, and then, but then again, if you go through stormwater and everything's done properly, and if they figure out a way to do it, then there's a way to do it.
All right.
I
I think I got what I need.
Fabulous. Anybody else, questions, comments, concerns?
The only comment I would have is that if it does end up and it works and wherever they put a gravel road in it, minimally there should be some sort of apron that goes an X amount of feet.
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Just
Okay.
keep that when you.
And I'd stay with the 20-foot,
20-foot width.
20-foot width.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate it.
The
Welcome.
Thanks.
Main Street.
Have a great night.
You too. All right. Next, we have a public hearing. Site plan review for a special permit for 211 Middle Road, map 23, lot 29, 29A, 29B. Applicant Rewild Renewables LLC, represented Bales and Thomas. Scope of the work proposed is 6 megawatt solar photovoltaic development. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This was in accordance with the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 9. You are hereby notified of a public hearing. The Acushnet Planning Board would hold its hearing on Thursday, December 5th at 6 p.m. to review a site plan review as follows. Submitted by Middle Road Acushnet Solar LLC, UI Renewables. Property owner is White's Farm, Inc., represented by Bills and Thomas, Inc. Scope of the work, the applicant proposes to conduct a ground-mounted solar energy facility. The location is 211 Middle Road, Acushnet, Mass., map 23, lots 29, 29A, 29B. This meeting will be held at 122 Main Street, Acushnet, Mass., 02743, Board of Selectmen meeting room, and over Zoom. The Zoom link will be on the agenda and posted at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting. All persons, parties, or corporation interested therein may appear and be heard in relation there too. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm Greg Sampson with Sullivan and Worcester. I'm here on behalf of Middle Road Acushnet Solar LLC, care of Rewild Renewables. With me tonight is Zach Farkes from Rewild Renewables and Sarah Stearns from Beals and Thomas. So we're happy to be here to present this project. As you may recall, we had an informal meeting with the board on September 5th, which happened right after we had a meeting with all the town staff on August 22nd. And so that was part of what informed the filing that we made in October. So it is a site plan review and special permit filing for the large ground-mounted solar project. I think this site is probably one that many people in Acushnet are familiar with. It's the White's Dairy. Historically, it was a dairy farm. More recently, I believe it's been used both for a driving range and for some kenneling of dogs and other animals. It's a large site. It's 54 acres. A good part of it is there's some wetlands on it, which we have gone through a process with the Conservation Commission to confirm the wetland boundaries. So those are all confirmed through an ANRAD filing. There is some work within the 100-foot buffer zone to the wetlands. There's no direct wetland impacts. So we have filed a notice of intent that is being reviewed by the Conservation Commission, basically concurrently with this application. As part of our meeting with the town staff, one of the things we're very happy that we're able to do is we have a coordinated peer review process with, I think the board has seen the preliminary comments from GAF Engineering, so I'll mention that in a few minutes. But as I said, it's a 54-acre site. We're looking to do about a 6 megawatt solar project. It's going to occupy about 13.6 acres of the 54-acre site. And the layout is basically shown on the aerial overlay. So just for the members of the public, we have the same plans will be presented up here as for you as well. So it's basically occupying most of the open fields. It's a site that's unusual in the sense that we do not have significant clearing of any vegetation. It's been cleared, it's been maintained as, driving range or lawn and ground cover. So the vast majority of the work is being done on a cleared area. The majority of the work that we're doing that involves site work involves the construction of a berm for screening of the site, which I'll mention in a minute. So the project involves the construction of the panels. They're oriented obviously to the south, which is, planned south is actual south in this layout. So we've looked at a number of issues related to the visual impacts. We've looked at a lot of concerns have been raised regarding stormwater management, which we understand. Frankly, those are a little bit of a challenge to address because of the fact that we don't have great soils here as well. It's mostly D-soil, so the benefit we have is we're not doing a substantial change of ground cover. And really the only impact that we have from this project is the area of the gravel road that rings the solar site. So the fire department asked us to make sure that we had a full ring road for access around the perimeter of the field. And so we have a pretty extensive 18-foot gravel road that goes around the field.
Around the entire thing?
Yes. So that's the biggest concern for stormwater management is the conversion of that field to a gravel road. So, but we do think we have a proposal that will address the concerns, address the stormwater bylaw, and address the concerns of the peer reviewer. So I mentioned we received an initial response from the peer reviewer that we are working through. We're hopeful to have a response back to them within the next couple weeks. There were some good technical comments that that's take a little while to respond to. So our goal is to do a full response and hopefully work out a lot of issues that are, technical issues that we can just work out with them directly. As far as the project impacts, the board is aware of solar, has seen a number of projects I know of. There's very little impact from a utility perspective. All of the connections will be done right at, there's an interconnection point on Middle Road. There's a number of poles that will be put on our site. There's a number of poles that will be connected on the public road. So it's a fairly easy interconnection. Again, the site has the benefit of being pretty open, so we have a decent amount of laydown area for construction, staging area for construction.
I'm gonna have to interrupt you for
Certainly.
1 second. Keep your train of thought. Victoria, I got a question for you. If Zoom isn't working, is that a violation?
Yeah, it was advertised as a hybrid, the Zoom
Yeah.
used to work.
People can't get on.
Okay, because of,
It's not working. The link that we have on the agenda is not working.
I never realized there were this many houses in
Yeah.
Acushnet
Yep,
that were accessed from New Bedford back there.
yep.
I've only driven by it for the last 50 or 60 years. Just
That's all you've been driving by there?
You got it?
legally, yeah.
Very good.
This is the,
That's Mary's road.
this is the pond, which is closest to, this is Middle Road here.
This is middle, yeah.
Where's Mary Drive here?
It's right here.
Right,
It's
right
sort of the
here,
edge of the
okay.
house is here.
Okay. All right. This detention basin that you're referring to here, what is that? I've never seen that.
That's proposed.
Pardon?
That's proposed.
That's proposed.
Yeah,
okay.
that's part of the
No.
stormwater
Now,
management.
you were here at the conservation.
I
meeting.
was, yes.
Okay. And one of my biggest questions was brought up was nothing's been resolved from the conservation meeting, right?
We haven't gone back there again. They wanted us to come to this meeting first.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
All right,
that'll be continued
Okay.
as part of the process.
all right.
Yeah, because,
This is my biggest concern down
Yes.
here. It always has been.
I
It is
understand.
right now, even without this. but
yep, right,
when this is gonna
existing.
be, you know,
And I think, as Craig mentioned, we know that stormwater in this area,
Oh,
this
all these
whole
houses
region
are
of the
in
community
I
is,
see.
you know, the hearing
And
that was
small-
right before
small
us
lots like
was talking
that?
about this, a similar issue.
Absolutely.
With this type
I don't
of
know,
soil.
it doesn't make
that
any
just
difference
doesn't
to that
drain
development.
well, as it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
So this basin is being
This
proposed.
proposed area, this is right on the
I should
other
look at
side
the
of the, which I call a cat house.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's right across, right into, right into.
So that's in there, okay.
Yeah,
He owns
just
that-
grass right to
They own that
which is
pumping
grass.
stations,
Um,
actually owns
So
that.
that's proposed to catch any of the water that will be coming off the gravel road.
That was to
That's
pick
what
up,
I'm
that was to
saying.
pick up that little mini industrial area.
The other thing is, they're proposing with this
doesn't say.
Oh, this over here on Ninth Lane?
solar farm
Yeah, they've got a few
This
buildings.
whole
over
area.
there, so.
down here is all gonna be used
Yep,
for
sewer.
your
Yeah,
construction
it's all
site,
coming down to
Correct.
this pump station.
right?
Yes.
All right, and how long is that gonna be all disrupted down there?
3, 4, 5 months.
Pardon?
3 to 5 months.
How long?
3 to 5 months.
3 to 5 months, okay, all right. Because, and the road that comes up here, there'll be a road that comes up here, which again is in my backyard.
You see the black in here? That's the, where we're gonna pick up
All
on.
right, so you'll be traveling with heavy equipment across all of this in front of the cat farm, yeah. All right. So that in itself is very disruptive to me, you know, it's gonna be.
I always thought it was odd, Acushnet
All
Avenue
right.
never makes it to Acushnet.
Tries, goes by it in other
Any
places.
of your plans actually
New Bedford didn't
include,
want any part of Acushnet, I guess, I don't know.
fencing all this in,
You gotta access the cushion to get back into a cushion when you get up that way.
cutting down
Yeah,
Is that
you
all
do.
Yeah.
gonna be fenced in, or is
So
that
the
not
fence-
gonna be
So
fenced
the
in?
red line you see is the fence.
This is the fence here, so this really, nothing in here is gonna be done to help my lawns whatsoever. It doesn't look from this chart.
So what do you? We can't obviously propose any work on your property.
What are you up to? What are you up to these days? You still working?
I think
Oh,
when
yeah.
I spoke on the phone.
Yeah,
my name
but
is
we're,
Zach. Perhaps I spoke to your.
Oh,
Running into
okay, yeah.
another
I
problem
sent,
with
I sent
DEP.
others to basically.
Now we're trying to work with, we finally got our
Yeah.
If
permits.
anyone's interested, we'd be.
I've been trying to get an inspection for a year, we finally
Because,
got
yeah, we
it.
recognize that during.
And everything got okay. Now we ran
Well,
into
I mean,
another.
I'd like some kind of, some kind of
We
protection.
need more material
As
for
far
the
as
site
even
to
if
make some
nothing else,
concrete.
just site. I mean, road
We need other
out,
transfer stations
Yeah,
to
you
give it
guys
to.
have my contact info, so.
So what they want to do is, I guess, when they recycle stuff, and it doesn't have to go to landfill, they get recycling credits. So what they want is, they want these recycling
Yeah, they're right at the
credits
corner, right?
for sending their stuff here.
Yeah, we spoke on the phone.
EP's like,
Right, yeah,
nah, we
this
can't
is,
do
this
that,
is,
'cause
this
it's a
is the
landfill.
last house on the road.
Technically, it ain't a landfill anymore,
And,
we're
You know,
doing it, we're capping
the
it.
problem I have has been right along is,
Thing is,
when
right now,
I
they can ship it to the
bought
other
my
states,
home, this is
and it's
50 years
just easy
ago.
for them to do.
they had
You know,
put
whatever's
a-
cheapest. Right, exactly.
they-
I mean,
This
that's
is
the-
all, like, there was
So,
like a stream that
If
came
they get the
down.
recycling credits,
Yeah.
then they'll send it to us.
That's
They'll
all
send it
that's
to us
up there.
to be able to
And
process it.
What happened was.
Right now, that's
they
what we're
put
going, we
a
want EPA to say,
drain-
yeah, you're gonna give them recycling
Right.
credits, and they're like, no,
This
because
is
it's
my
going to a
house here.
landfill. Well, it
They
technically
put a
ain't.
drain right there
And
and comes right across
DEP's the
my
one that forced us
property.
to use this
It's a
site.
12-inch pipe.
'Cause
When you say they, do you mean?
they said this would be a good site to show us
I
how
don't
the
know
product
at the
works.
time
All
who
right,
it was.
we're
if it
trying to do
was
that, but now
Weston
you're
or
putting
if it was
restrictions
Townsend or-
on us.
There was a lot of stuff going on at that time.
It's a
But,
wonderful
and I bought the
Yeah.
property and I knew about it, they told me about it and I accepted it.
For a whole
But-
year, I had to sit there and
but
think
we
about,
get
yeah,
a lot of
they're gonna come
rain.
give me that
I mean,
inspection.
when I say a
and
lo-
this
a
is
lot of
wrong,
rain-
that's wrong, blah, blah.
But even
Anything that
normal
came
rain,
around.
this all comes
Pretty
down
good.
and so
I'll get
much
no
of that
sulfite
misses
reviews
that,
on
it
the
comes
side,
down and
everything's
floods out
good,
the end
you
of
know.
my lot.
Now we got this hang up.
You know, which you probably haven't even seen that happen.
Two-year project, I'm in year
Believe it or not,
5.
we've been working on this thing for 5 years, so
Yeah,
we've seen
well,
a
I've
lot.
lived there for
I'm not gonna
50 years,
complain, I
so
got a
I've
picture.
seen a lot
Yeah.
going on.
Yes, sir.
And that's,
Also another drain up in this area too.
yeah,
The existing sewer drain that's.
Anything that
yeah,
Top near my house.
yeah. There's a lot of water that comes down through there.
policies.
I'm surprised that
Or has the
land
potential
even
to
supports
affect
us
their
so
policy.
far
Right, that's-
because
you can't get
it's
those
like
people to do
24
anything.
inches of
And that's what it's been all
gravel,
about.
dirt there,
This
loam.
group over here don't want to commit,
It,
they're afraid the group over here is gonna
Well,
say,
there's
why
so
would
much
you do
water,
that?
there's so much water that comes through here.
Yeah.
That's
That the
the-
house
worry about
across the
who's
street,
gonna-
the
That's the whole
driveway,
Yeah,
democracy.
well,
the
it's
soil,
all
the
it's all
roads,
cracked up,
accountable
yeah.
for anything.
the driveway
Water
just
doesn't
caves
water.
in.
My opinion.
Just constantly.
No,
I've heard, I've worked.
Yeah.
There was a house on the corner, she had no idea she was living there. And she had a Porsche out there, and I said, you know, there's nothing under that asphalt. I took a stick and put it through the crack and almost lost the stick.
35 years of my professional.
This is
Right
across,
across the business.
across the street on Mary
Drain,
Drive, yeah.
drain from the water.
No.
So there's a lot of water.
A lot of water.
on there.
There's a driveway that just constantly collapses
No,
with
they
soil.
won't make, they
You
won't
gotta
make a
backfill
decision.
On the far side of
because
Mary's.
they're afraid
Right on
they're
the
gonna be
opposite.
held.
Right on
That
the
same
opposite side
corner
of my house,
across
yeah.
the
They're
hill.
gonna be taken to task for making that decision.
Because
And
I used to mow the
unless
grass
something
there,
comes from the governor's
and
office.
the asphalt would
they
just settle.
Mm.
And
that's what
another
we're trying
woman
now,
moved
we're trying to
in,
see some
and
representatives.
I talked to her, I said,
Try
well,
to
park
get
your
this
Porsche
moving
on that
now.
hot asphalt,
This
because
is-
there's no gravel left.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't-
She had an
Yeah,
orange
just built it
stake
right
and
through
it
it.
Now
goes
we're
through
trying
the
to,
crack.
we might have stopped
all the way down,
alternative
and it kept
sites.
going. I could've just dropped
This
it.
is just,
So they dug up the asphalt, and they were
we
bringing
just finished this
soil.
site off.
It's a constant water problem down there. It
We have
constantly
to bring
grows.
in 255
I'm at
pounds
the
a
top of the
ton.
hill, and I have sinkholes in my
We've brought
driveway.
in
My
5
driveway just
years, I've brought in
sinkhole.
You're
30.
also on Mary's.
I'm on North Anthony at the top.
Right at the top of,
I have enough, yeah, because I
We're
have
gonna be there
a
for
20-foot piece of metal, and it just
Right
kept
now, we're
going.
just gonna keep going the way we are.
We could look and
Just
see
going.
if we're rediverting any of that water to the.
Government
That's the hope,
permitting
is that
system.
getting in here, developing this.
or-
I'm sorry?
or-
That's the hope, is that we can move the water toward
Take
this
it
detention
here.
basin.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
if
area.
this-
Drain
if
it
this-
this way.
if this water,
And
this
look, the
coming
engineer on
down
the
could be
project, He worked for
moved
DEP
That's
for
what
like
we're
20
in that
years.
direction.
It's gotta
So he
come
knows
down.
how it
The
works.
south
And
would
he's
be
been
where-
working, he's
Oh, of
like,
course.
Flooded.
Right.
It's
that's
decision. If they didn't like it.
to me, it
yeah.
sounds like a disaster
Somebody
waiting to
has to
happen. I mean, there is a lot of,
He's
there's
a
a lot
rare-
of water that's
he's
gonna
a
come
rare
off.
fish
It's
in
how
that
he is,
pond,
too.
let me
This,
tell you.
this isn't really gonna change.
And that's how he
What's
is
that?
too.
This part
Oh.
isn't gonna change that much. The thing that
Yeah.
changes the drainage out
rough.
here is the road that's being
Yeah,
proposed
but what I'm
around.
saying,
It
just
doesn't
the
seem like,
panels alone,
it
the
doesn't
way
seem like
they,
that attitude.
way they're
lasts
designed
in
nowadays,
DEP
I've
for
seen
more than
solar
6
farms.
months,
Well,
to tell you the truth.
But that's why
The
he
panels themselves, when the water comes off of these panels and hits the ground,
Just fighting them all the
It's
time
not
to
like
to get that decision.
not
you know?
having
And when you
anything
make
here,
it,
I mean,
they're
this
like,
is
"Well, why'd you
gonna
go?" He said,
start its
"Because
own
we have to make a
corner."
decision.
And that's why I think drainage is
It's
very,
tough.
very important in this
Yeah.
We didn't
whole
just,
area.
it's
have
almost
enough water.
almost the most important thing on this. Yeah.
And that's why we're working with the town's peer review engineer.
No, it's a good
All the
story.
calculations, and basically, they can't be happy until
Detail.
he's happy.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
thank you very much.
Of course.
something has come to my attention that we are having technical difficulties with the Zoom link. In other words, it's not working.
Okay.
With that being said, and it being advertised as having a Zoom link, we would be in open meeting violation if we continue with this meeting. As much as I'd like to continue this, unfortunately, we're gonna have to postpone this meeting due to technical difficulties. Again, my apologies, I know you guys all drove out here, and I know you'd rather be home having dinner. This is something that was out of our control, but the way things work, that people read something that we post, and legally we are liable for that, and if we do not abide by that, we can get in trouble. If you went through this whole proposal, you'd have to go through from scratch again the next meeting. So, and we can't vote or say anything on anything that's said, so it'd be a waste of time. And then we could still get in trouble if you still do anything. So unfortunately, again, we're gonna have to postpone this public hearing to our next meeting. You're not gonna have to repost
No.
anything.
No.
It will be posted on our next meeting, that this will be on our next meeting, which is January 2nd. And that's that. I'll take any questions that anybody might have, and I'll try to answer those questions.
After January 2nd, could I ask what the next meeting is? Is it the 16th?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks. So, January 2nd, yep, the 16th, yeah.
Do we think it's better to go to the 16th, given the holidays?
All right, so now I kind of see where you're going with this, because you're still waiting to hear from all the peer reviews, so I'll kind of share with you what's going on. So they sent their plans to another engineering firm that is reviewing the plans. And that engineering company came back with, oh, they're gonna change this, they're gonna change that, they're gonna tweak this, they're gonna tweak that. They're still in the process of that, so even after today's meeting, they would still be back to go over those changes that they still have to make regarding the other engineering's peer review. But instead of them starting from the beginning today, it'll have to be on the next meeting.
So to the board, it was our intent to open and present the general project today
Yep,
and then continue.
yep,
Our expectation was we'd be continuing to the 16th,
Yep.
right after our conversations with Mr. Madden and GAF,
yep,
understanding that we probably wouldn't have the peer review letter resolved by the 2nd.
right.
So would it be preferential to the board for us to try to come back, or one of us, or whoever's available on the 2nd?
Right.
And just basically restate?
Or do you want me to just postpone it to the 16th?
I'm asking if you guys would be.
We're open to postponing it to the 16th. I mean, if we have to postpone it, which we do, in my opinion, whether I postpone it to the 2nd or I postpone it, I know not everybody lives nearby sometimes, so if, to have you come back on the 2nd just to say I'm gonna push it to the 16th doesn't make any sense.
That's
So
what I was
if you would prefer to go to the 16th, and we have to do this regardless due to issues, we'll just postpone this public hearing to the 16th.
Very good. The 16th is preferable for us.
That way, instead of doing this in 2 sessions after the changes have been made, maybe we could do it all in one shot.
Yeah, it'd be my hope to come in with a clean peer review letter on the 16th, and we can see where we get then. But yeah, great, thank you.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize, it's out of my control.
Can you just do a formal motion to continue? please?
Absolutely.
I would make a motion that we continue this public hearing to our meeting of January 16th.
The 16th of January.
6 o'clock?
Yep.
Okay.
From the property
You
line.
won't receive.
I second that.
I got a motion, I got a second,
You
all in
won't be
favor?
able to mail it.
Aye.
So when they continue it like that,
It's
just,
It's good.
there's not a second, so we just want.
Oh, get a motion to
That's
close.
me. Well, I guess
No.
we're sort of going around with the chair, the chair.
Oh, no,
No.
just to adjourn.
Okay, all right. So we're done with that. Let me just go down the
But
list.
I understand, yeah.
All set?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
The second to the floor.
Okay, I was here. And so the berm proposed to like an earthen berm with a fence on top of it, just to help sort of create a barrier. That's the hope. So on this,
Great. He's brought up a good point. It makes things easier. If, when you come back to present, you can kind of highlight the change that you did with the original,
so it's 6 feet
you know,
the
peer
berm,
review,
6 feet the top, and some height
That
of
makes it
fence.
easy.
Right
So,
now,
yeah, this is what it was, this is what we changed.
you know,
Focus on the,
Yeah.
we'll cloud them on the plans.
6 and 10.
Do something that
Yeah,
makes
we'll
it stand out.
summarize.
So what
Yeah, so
we're doing.
That would make everything a little bit, without guessing,
usually-
staring at this thing flipping and going back and forth.
Usually we go right down the line and say, you know, this is what we had, this is what we did, you know, and then we'll go right down the line.
That's fair. And some of the comments are real easy and some of the
We're gonna-
comments
A little bit more extensive,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Happy to do that.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.
But this is.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
So.
All these
from
people got a
different
chance to
points
ask you
showing
questions
how
while
the
you were
berm
in there, so
is
they were
gonna
all,
Oh, good.
they kind of,
Screen the panels themselves.
Cool.
So hopefully that's some photos.
No, I'm not, are we gonna discuss the?
But that's the idea right now. So that's, we have to.
We really should,
continue
yeah.
to,
Yeah.
I'm
you know,
sorry.
No,
no, that'd be
You're
totally.
absolutely
I did
right.
violation.
Why not?
You're absolutely right.
We're gonna blame it on you anyway.
But I did it.
Yeah.
Our next meeting is Thursday, January 2nd. Comments, concerns, questions, gentlemen? No. Can I get a
Motion, I
motion?
make a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.